The garlic press was never about garlic. It was about anticipation, about that tiny hit of something good is coming. Your brain gets right before you click place order. Think about the last completely unnecessary thing you bought. Not groceries, not medicine, not rent. I'm talking about the random gadget, the third black t-shirt, the skincare product you saw in a reel at 1 a.m. Remember that little rush when you added it to your cart? That feeling wasn't an accident. That was dopamine. And in that moment, it didn't feel like you were buying an object. It felt like you were buying a feeling. Here's the wild part. Your brain actually gets more pleasure from wanting the thing than from owning it. The anticipation lights up your reward system. Dopamine spikes when you're scrolling, comparing, imagining how that thing will fix something in your life. Once it arrives, the high drops. The garlic press goes in a drawer. The course sits unwatched. The shirt becomes just another shirt. But your brain remembers that the last time you felt excited was when you were about to buy, not when you actually had the thing. So next time you feel low, it nudges you. Let's do that again. You've probably felt this loop without realizing it. You're on the couch, scrolling after a long day. You're not thinking, I want to damage my future. You're thinking, I just want to feel a little better right now. One click, one swipe, one add to cart, and your brain rewards you with that tiny spark of excitement. Not when the package arrives. When you decide to buy, that decision becomes your drug. Over time, your brain starts to associate tiny emotional discomfort with time to shop. Bored? Open the app. Lonely? Browse. Stressed? Add to cart. It's not about the object anymore. It's about the ritual. The app icon becomes a little escape hatch on your home screen, and every time you use it, you strengthen the wiring that says, when I feel bad, I spend. This is the first big reframe. Impulse buying is not about being weak or irresponsible. It's about your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do: chase reward, escape discomfort, and seek quick relief. Marketers know this. Platforms are literally built as dopamine casinos. Infinite scroll, flashing discounts, only 2 left, selling fast, last 3 hours. These aren't random phrases. They're levers pulling on the same brain systems that evolved to keep your ancestors alive. Now let's layer in emotions. There's research showing that people are most likely to make unnecessary purchases when they feel sad, anxious, or bored. Think about that for a second. It means your worst spending decisions don't happen when you're feeling great. They happen when you're trying to regulate your mood. You're not buying a scented candle. You're buying a moment of control when life feels a little out of control. You're not buying a new hoodie. You're buying comfort because something else in your life feels cold. You know that phrase, retail therapy? That's not just a joke. When you're stressed or down, your brain is desperate for a quick, achievable win. You might not be able to fix your job today, or your relationship, or your health, but you can fix this one thing. I can add to cart. I can make this small decision. I can get a package in 2 days. The purchase becomes a tiny, controllable storyline where you are the hero. And your brain rewards that with dopamine. Here's where loss aversion steps in. Humans are wired to feel the pain of losing something about twice as strongly as the pleasure of gaining the same thing. That's why those only 2 left messages work so well. On the surface, it's just inventory. Underneath, your brain is screaming, if I don't act now, I'm losing something. The fear of losing a deal, of missing out on a limited drop, of being the only friend who didn't get the thing, that hurts more than the satisfaction of saving money. And marketers are laser focused on that. Countdown timers. Last day of the sale. This price will never come back. Exclusive for the first 100 customers. It all pushes the same button. If you don't buy now, you're not just skipping a purchase, you're losing a once-in-a-lifetime chance, even if realistically, there's another sale next weekend. Now add FOMO to the mix, and things get dangerous. Over half of impulse buyers say FOMO is their #1 trigger. Not need, not utility. Fear of missing out. You're scrolling, and you don't just see a product, you see other people using it, smiling with it, leveling up their lifestyle because of it. You're not afraid of living without the thing, you're afraid of falling behind the people who have it. FOMO turns a nice to have into, if I don't get this, I'm going to regret it. I'm going to be left out. I'm going to be the only one who doesn't have it. And this is why impulse buying feels so personal. You tell yourself, why am I like this? Why do I have no discipline? But look at the battlefield you're standing on. You have a brain wired for dopamine, a nervous system that hates uncertainty and negative emotions, platforms built to keep you scrolling and clicking, and marketers who literally A/B test which color of buy now makes you more likely to press it. This is not a fair fight. Even physical spaces are engineered to push your buttons. Grocery stores put the highest profit items at eye level, kids' sugary cereal at kid eye level, the checkout lane filled with tiny, grabbable items you didn't come for, but now they're right in front of you while you wait. Ever noticed how carts have gotten bigger over the years? That's on purpose. A big, half-empty cart makes you feel like you haven't really shopped. So you add more, just to fill it up a bit. Every detail is scripted. The smell of baked goods near the entrance, the store layout forcing you to walk past snacks and seasonal products to reach basics like milk, the music tempo designed to slow you down just enough to browse more. None of that is random. It's architecture built around your psychology. Online, the architecture is even more precise. Customers also bought. People like you love this. Urgent banners, flash sales, pop-ups saying, Sophia in your city just bought this item. That's social proof plus urgency plus FOMO stacked into tiny lines of code. Your rational brain might roll its eyes, but your emotional brain is paying attention. So if this isn't about discipline, what is the first step out? Awareness. Not in a vague motivational way, but in a very specific practical way. You start catching the moment before the click. One simple science-backed technique is almost stupidly easy. Label your emotional state before you buy. Literally pause for 3 seconds and ask, what am I feeling right now? Sad, anxious, bored, lonely, stressed, excited. Say it to yourself or even write it in your notes app. Why does that help? Because by naming the emotion, you shift a tiny bit of power from the emotional part of your brain to the rational part. You interrupt the autopilot. You go from, I need this thing, to, oh, I'm anxious, and my brain is trying to soothe itself by shopping. That small distance is often enough to let you make a different choice. You're not trying to suppress the feeling. You're just refusing to let the feeling secretly drive your credit card. Here's a simple experiment you can try for 1 week. Every time you want to buy something that isn't a basic necessity, pause and answer 3 questions. 1. What am I feeling right now? 2. How long have I been thinking about this item? 3. What future option am I trading for this purchase? That third question is crucial because every unnecessary purchase is a silent trade. You're swapping a spike of stimulation now for a future option you'll never see. Think about that. That $2,000 impulse purchase could have been part of next year's trip fund, or a small chunk of your emergency savings, which could decide whether you say yes or no to a job you hate, or a brick in your investment portfolio quietly growing in the background. But because future you doesn't scream the way a flashing "sale ends tonight" banner does, the trade feels harmless. It's not. Let's bring in some numbers here. Surveys show that the average person spends hundreds of dollars a month on impulse buys. Over a year, that's thousands. Over a decade, tens of thousands. If that same money had been invested instead of spent on impulse, it could stack into serious wealth. Not billionaire level, but enough to change how trapped or free you feel. Enough to turn, I have to keep this job no matter what, into, I have some breathing room. So the stakes are bigger than, I bought another pair of shoes I didn't need. The real cost is the compound effect of 10, 20, 30 years of little trades, little hits of dopamine now instead of options later. Options like leaving a toxic job, moving cities, taking a year off, starting something of your own. When you see it that way, the garlic press isn't just about garlic. It's you choosing a tiny spike of excitement over a bit of future freedom you'll never get back. Before we talk about tools, there's one mindset shift you must make, or none of the tactics will stick. You have to stop seeing yourself as the villain of your own bank account. If you walk around thinking, I'm terrible with money, I'm so impulsive, I always mess this up, you're doing exactly what the system wants. blaming yourself instead of the environment and wiring that trained you. Remember, entire teams of psychologists, designers, and data scientists are paid to keep you on the hook. They study which colors, words, layouts, and notifications keep you scrolling and spending. You are not weak for being influenced by that. You're human. The goal isn't to become some emotionless robot who never wants anything. The goal is to become someone who understands the game well enough to choose when to play and when to walk away. Here's the good news. You don't need to kill all pleasures to break this cycle. You just need a system that separates "I'm genuinely choosing this" from "my nervous system and a marketing team just hijacked me." You can build that system with a few rules. One rule could be the 24-hour pause. If you feel that "I need this now" pull, that's a sign you're in dopamine plus FOMO mode. So the rule is simple. You can add it to your cart, you can screenshot it, but you can't buy until tomorrow. If it still feels like a good idea after you've slept on it and your mood has changed, it's probably closer to a real desire than an emotional band-aid. Another rule: set a monthly impulse budget. A small fixed amount that you are allowed to spend on totally non-rational dopamine-driven purchases with zero guilt. You want the random gadget, the cute mug, the trending accessory? Fine. But it has to fit inside that predefined bucket. That way, you're not trying to fight your brain 24/7. You're giving it controlled outlets instead of letting it hijack your entire paycheck. You can also physically redesign your environment to work for you instead of against you. Unsubscribe from promo emails, move shopping apps off your home screen, turn off push notifications for flash sales. Keep one friction in the way, like needing to find your card instead of having it saved for one-tap checkout. It sounds small, but for an impulse, that extra 15 seconds is often enough for your rational brain to wake up. And here's a powerful flip. Instead of asking, "Can I afford this?" start asking, "What am I really trying to feel right now?" Maybe you don't need the new outfit. You need a walk, a call with a friend, a nap, or 20 minutes of journaling out the stress you're trying to mask with packages. The more honest you get about the emotion driving the purchase, the less thrilling the "buy now" button becomes. It stops being magic. It becomes just one of many ways to cope, and often not the best one. So, what's really driving you to buy things you don't need? It's not stupidity. It's not that you're bad with money. It's a combination of dopamine, emotional regulation, loss aversion, FOMO, and environments engineered to nudge you a few inches toward yes every single day. Once you see that clearly, the game changes. You stop playing the role of the guilty customer and start acting like the strategist. The garlic press, the random gadget, the late-night cart full of little treats, those are just the visible tips of a much deeper pattern. The real question isn't, "Why did I buy this?" It's, "What was I feeling right before I decided I needed this?" That's the moment where your real power lives. If this helped you see your spending habits in a new light, don't just nod and move on. Pick one rule you're going to test this week, labeling your emotions, a 24-hour pause, or a fixed impulse budget, and try it on your next urge to buy. And if you want more breakdowns like this, where we decode the psychology behind money decisions and give you tools to fight back, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, and tell me in the comments what your last impulse buy was really about underneath the surface.